How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Beared Down Uncut, the show where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Today, in episode number 144, we're going to be discussing Eddie Goldman's absence from the Bears. He obviously took off the 2020-2021 season due to COVID-19, but now has missed OTAs and mandatory minicamp. What's next for him, and what does this hold? What does this mean for the future of guys like Bilal Nichols in Chicago? We're going to be breaking it down. We're going to be breaking it all down for you guys today. So let's get right into it. Before we get into this one, I would like to say, man, we are so close to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. If we haven't hit it already when this video goes live, we're going to be very close. So if you are new to the channel and you want Bears content every day of the week, the most comprehensive Bears coverage on the web, please do us a favor and subscribe. And if you're listening on any of the podcasting platforms, please do us a favor and drop a follow. Your guys' support means so much to us. We never thought we would have this big of a platform, so we appreciate you guys continuously coming back and showing support. I'm your host, Chris Malpe, today to talk about Eddie Goldman, a little bit of a different topic for us and someone we haven't talked about for so long. I am joined with my co-host, Parth Shaw. Parth, 4th of July weekend approaching. You got any plans?
Yeah, I'm probably going to head to the beach on Saturday, so that's going to be fun. Weather's looking good for the 4th of July weekend, so that's at least good.
Yeah, I'm going to head up to Wisconsin, go hit some lakes, some tubing, water skiing, all that good stuff. So should be a good time. But let's talk a little bit about Eddie Goldman because we have a lot to talk about here and a lot to unpack. Obviously, I mean, let's just start it off here. Goldman didn't show up to OTAs. He didn't show up to mandatory minicamp. The Bears still expect him to show up to training camp, which kicks off on July 27th. But Eddie Goldman, looking at his past, hasn't really been a player that's spurred up drama at all. He's kind of been like a humble giant. He's been someone who's been great for the Bears in plugging the run from 2015 to 2019. And it's been a little bit of an interesting situation for him. I'm not sure whether or not he's vaccinated. I know he has asthma and could struggle a lot if he did get COVID. But all in all, I mean, after he said he was going to come back in 2021, were you surprised that Goldman didn't show up to these mandatory mini camps?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, especially because, with everything with the virus, the vaccines out, and if he felt comfortable enough taking it, I feel like he should be out there, especially if everyone else is. And like he said he would be back out with
I don't know if it was something to do with the vaccine, and sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're chilling.
We don't like to get political.
No, we don't like to get political at all. Exactly.
But it's just a little surprising that he didn't show up. I would say
exactly.
There's not much more to expand upon when it comes to it. I was pretty surprised by it. He's still a huge piece on this Bears defense if he's back. We'll talk about Bilal Nichols a little bit further down the line, but I mean, Eddie Goldman's a beast, and he's one of the unsung heroes of this Bears defense. He doesn't essentially get the sack numbers. He doesn't essentially get the pressure numbers, but, man, that man can stuff the run, and he was definitely missed last year. So I would say all around definitely surprising that he didn't show up. Now, there have been a lot of Bears sources that have said he still almost guaranteed will show up to training camp, so I don't even know if this really needs to be a question, but I guess considering he didn't show up to minicamp, it has to be asked, Parth. Do you think he'll show up for training camp later this month in late July?
I hope so. The Bears do need him. Like you said, he's a very good player, very underrated player on this Bears defense who never gets enough credit for what he does. Remember back in 2018 when we played the Rams, Sean McVay was one to point out Eddie Goldman and what he does for our defense. And he's a huge run stopper. That game, he stopped Todd Gurley. And last season, the Bears had a tough time stopping the run. I remember at least later on in the season, the Bears defense was giving up a lot of points, a lot of rushing yards in general. And we were missing Eddie Goldman, especially in those winter months when you need that big dude. And so I hope he shows up because he's a huge part of this Bears defense. I think he will show up. I do think he still cares about football and the Bears and stuff in general. I just think he just needed an extra time off and thought he could get away with it, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it's tough times right now with the pandemic, even though we kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. This is still definitely going on. And I do hope Eddie Goldman will show up, and I do think he will show up. I also trust the sources that are saying that he's going to show up. So,
exactly.
I said it earlier. I think he's really an unsung hero on this defense and someone that the Bears need back desperately. I love Bilal Nichols. I love to see how he progressed at nose tackle, but I think ideally the Bears would want to move him back to a defensive end if they could bring Goldman back, or at least move Nichols back to be a depth piece. And he would be quite the depth piece if you're talking about backup nose tackles in this league. So I think all in all, if Eddie Goldman does show up, it only helps the Bears in terms of, number one, having him back, that run stuffer who predominantly is great at doing that, and also just adds more depth regardless of where you put Nichols. So I do think that one domino tips the other, and I think as long as Eddie Goldman shows up, that's going to be a positive thing for this Bears defense moving forward, especially with a new defensive coordinator in this year with Sean Desai. But let's talk about Bilal Nichols a little bit, Parth. He had quite the 2020-2021 season. Didn't put up any incredible numbers, but actually, as he continued to progress and get better, started to fill the void for Eddie Goldman a lot better than a lot of Bears fans expected, alongside Akeem Hicks. So ideally, I think the Bears want to move him back to a defensive end, but I want to know where you want to see him, because we saw him excel at the nose tackle position. He could be a solid rotational player there. So what do you think the future holds for Bilal Nichols here in 2021?
I'm not sure. I think he's going to be a great rotational piece, that's for sure. I think he can play defensive end, defensive tackle, and nose tackle. He's versatile at all three positions. He can get to the quarterback. He can stop the run. I'm excited for him. This was a very big steal, I guess you could call it, for Ryan Pace in the 5th round, getting him from Matt Nagy's alma mater, Delaware. So, I'm excited for what happens with Bilal Nichols this year. All I know is he's going to see more opportunities. He's going to get to the quarterback more often. I do expect a bigger year for him, especially numbers-wise. I think last year he got snubbed on a lot of sacks, but I expect him to at least get 5 or 6 sacks this year.
Yeah, and he was really solid when he finally came into his own
Yeah.
last year. I think it definitely took him a while to kind of get into his own, and
Especially that nose
playing.
tackle position was hard to get used to. Sorry to interrupt you, but
No, you're good. Obviously, his first 2 years, he was on the right side of the defensive
exactly.
line as a defensive end, and then he got thrown into that nose tackle spot. He's only going to be 25 years of age this year, and regardless, I got to agree with you. I think it was a really solid pickup. We saw him last year rack up 5 sacks, as well as 40 tackles, 7 tackles for a loss. He had 13 QB hits. Also had an interception, I believe, in the Detroit game. That was really impressive.
Yeah, that was really
Bears
funny.
ended up boofing that game. But it should be interesting to see where the Bears put Nichols, because regardless of where they do move him, I do think that the 2020 season is going to be a huge confidence booster to him. I think he's going to be coming out of the gates firing in 2021. The Bears have so many good pieces on that defensive line, and you got to give credit to Jay Rodgers, who I believe now is down with the Los Angeles Chargers as their defensive coordinator. But he did a great job at developing a lot of these pieces along the defensive line. Brent Urban now, who got paid and went to Dallas. Roy Robertson Harris got paid and went to Jacksonville. Bilal Nichols still here in Chicago. Obviously, Akeem Hicks, and they have some other pieces that we're still looking forward to seeing, one of them notably being Trevis Gibson. But I think wherever you put Bilal Nichols in 2021, hopefully he'll be able to succeed. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing him as a rotational nose tackle if Eddie Goldman comes back. I don't know if switching back and forth positions is essentially the best thing of all time. So I think maybe keeping him where he is and just using him as a rotational piece could be a good idea, because I think he's going to be rotating in wherever you put him. If he has an opportunity to start at defensive end, then I could see the Bears possibly moving that way with Nichols. But if he doesn't have the opportunity to start, I think you keep him where he is. He's going to have more chances to learn under Hicks and obviously Eddie Goldman, and he's already got some experience under his belt, so I think that only helps him and plays to his favor. So it should be interesting to see what happens with Bilal Nichols moving forward. Thank you guys so much for tuning into episode number 144 of Uncut. Once again, if you want Bears content each and every day of the week, we're trying to pump out stuff as much as we can. Do us a favor, drop a like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. We're so close to 4,000 subscribers, and we appreciate your guys' support. And if you're listening on a podcasting platform, do us a favor and drop a follow, because we're still getting some pretty good support on those platforms as well. If you want more content from us, head over to our website, beareddown.com. The link is at the top of the description. You can see Colin's articles and blogs from all of our writers talking about everything offseason, so be sure to go check that out. If you'd like to find the podcast on social media, we're probably going to be giving away a Justin Fields jersey here in the month of July. Head over to Instagram or Twitter and follow us at Beared Down. You can also see sneak peeks of guests we're having on, as well as see our articles right when they are posted. It's just a great way to stay in the loop with what we're doing, so be sure to check us out on social media. And finally, if you would like to find us, our personal pages for social media are down in the description as well, myself as well as Parth. That's a great place to go check out our thoughts on all things Bears, all things NFL, as well as the entirety of Chicago sports. Definitely a great way to keep in the loop with us and also interact with us. We love seeing what you guys have to think, so be sure to go down in the description and give us some follows on Instagram as well as Twitter. Parth Shaw, big weekend coming up, one weekend closer to Bears training camp. We were just talking about before we hit record how we're going to be buying tickets for basically every day in August once we're done working, and be going up every other day, carpooling, getting on an alternating schedule. So I think we've got a lot to look forward to these next couple of months. But any last words before we close this one out?
Yeah, like you said, I'm excited to go to training camp. This weekend is 4th of July. It's going to be a great time. Hope everyone stays safe and has a great weekend. But yeah, it's going to be great to go back to training camp. Not going last year was weird. And
And going to Hallis Hall, too.
Yeah, they're going to be back at Hallis Hall now, so that's going to be fun, too.
Yeah, it should definitely be an interesting and different experience. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to get tickets, but I'm sure everyone here is going to be popping on tickets right when they drop and trying to get as many as we can. So should be interesting. We should be able to film some good content out there, some IRL content, some different stuff that you haven't seen from us that hopefully you'll like. But a lot to look forward to as we kind of head towards the latter half of the summer, as crazy as that sounds. But yeah. We're just getting going with the Bears, so it should be interesting as we roll into the fall. Guys, it's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Maltby, and Bears fans, as always, stay safe, have a great 4th of July weekend, and as always, bear down. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.